Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's episode number 252 of the Audible Farm Podcast, and this episode is brought to you by the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association. Go to www.fdfineartsassociation.org to find out more. Be sure to check out their community calendar. Be sure to check out FDT. That's their podcast. There's a link right on their website. It's all right there. And the website link is down below. So check it out. I'm going to talk a little bit more about it later in the episode. So come on back for that. This is a solo episode. I'm not the biggest fan of doing these. Sometimes I like to, sometimes I don't. But I'm just going to talk about a few things, maybe some things that I've seen or just some things that I just noticed or some fun stuff I've seen online or whatever. So I'm going to do that. But this is a solo episode. If you've never heard one, here we go.
It's the Audible Farm Podcast with your host, Peter Stockdale.
All right, here we go. Solo episode. So I've been looking at some stuff online. Every now and then I get emails. I've subscribed to all sorts of crazy stuff throughout the years, and basically my email accounts are just giant junk email inbox. It's just crazy. But sometimes some good stuff filters through there, and even some of the stuff that is just those automated emails that companies will send you, and it's just like, check out this article, and then you read it and you're like, oh, okay. But I found one recently, and I guess I almost don't even want to say what it is, but it's from CD Baby. They put an article out recently on a website. It's diymusician.cdbaby.com. So it's just something. I think this is because my life is like blended into this weird thing where I now have like hobbies and jobs that are just like intertwining in such an odd fashion that these are just things I notice now more than ever, and I don't know if that's a good thing or if that's a bad thing. But either way, it's a thing, and this is just what I've noticed or what I've seen. So here we go. This is 5 things musicians get wrong about advertising, which is. This is going to sound crazy, but I work in marketing now. So I do some marketing, and I'm not super deep into it. Like people that actually have marketing degrees and that, let's just say like everyone around me at the marketing firm has different talents, and we're all very good at different things. But this is just some stuff that I know just based on what I've seen and what I've done. I know on a low level that some of this stuff actually really works really well. So this is just, it's an unfortunate part about music. A lot of musicians just want to play music. So this is just some stuff I've seen around, or just some stuff that I think is kind of fun. So the first thing we got to ask ourselves is why do you play music? There has to be this reason why, and I think everyone's reason why is probably a little bit different. And like what everyone wants to get out of music might be a little bit different. I've interviewed a lot of people throughout the years. This is not a question I ask people directly, like, why do you do this? But at the same time, you go through a whole interview and you can kind of find out why some people do it. A lot of people just do it because it's fun. Some people do it because they want to make some money. Some people do it because they just want to hang out with their friends. And some people do it it's just something they're good at and they just do it, or they were raised that way. Or there's just a bunch of different reasons why people do this, and there's a bunch of different things that people have for like end goals on top of that. Some people want to try to, tour the world. Some people just want to play some music. Some people just want to hang out with their friends, like I said before, or some people just want to hang out in the scene, which is also like all those are very valid reasons to play music, or just to be around musicians or in the music scene. That's one of my favorite things is it's like a community of people. And every music scene is a little bit different, and it's kind of neat to interact with different scenes as I have throughout the years. And I guess I'm kind of curious to go back out and venture into interviewing other musicians and seeing, what the other scenes are like now these days, because I'm sure everything has changed since I've done a lot of those remote interviews with people throughout the state. So once we have all these things kind of cash down and we're like, okay, this is kind of why I'm doing this, and this is kind of what I want out of it, and this is kind of, XYZ, we can kind of talk about things like, if you want to try to basically have this professional air about you online and be like a quote unquote professional band, there's a handful of different ways to go about it. And marketing has changed so much over the years, and like the way you want to try to get your band out there has changed quite a bit. It's weird because when you watch TV now, there's like commercials that are like, this is basically just like somebody shot this with an iPhone and then had it run through like some clip generator to put words on it, and it almost looks like those nowadays. And I mean, you will see some commercials kind of like that. So like advertising has changed quite a bit. But the long and short of it is, within this article I kind of read a few things, and it's not like a very long article. I'm debating whether or not I want to put the link down below, because I'm basically going to cover it all. It's 5 things musicians get wrong about advertising. So this is kind of what we're going for here. So like, I get it, independent artists. It says this is basically the gist of it is, many independent artists think the idea of running ads can feel frustrating, unnecessary, or a little sleazy, but that is kind of just us in the Midwest. That's how we feel. We don't want to be pushy about things. So paying to advertise your music, I get it can be expensive, or it's something that you don't want to pay for, because if you paid for your music to be produced, you're already like, well, that's the bill. That was what I had to spend money on. But a lot of us know that that's not always where it ends. If you want physical copies, you have to spend more money to make physical copies, and or make artwork, or just all sorts of things like that. Any band that's had merch, you had to put the money down to get your merch, and then sell the merch to make your money back. And I guess, like, again, that's just considering if you're trying to do it like a business. But like, I know, there's different people out there that make merch just because they want a shirt, and there's definitely different ways to go about it. And that's just kind of why people do what they're doing. That's sort of why I did Audible Farm merch. I just thought it'd be fun to have like a hoodie or a t-shirt, or maybe even a hat, as I referenced the hat. For those of you not watching, I'm wearing one of the hats. But yeah, you got to kind of just think about, okay, this is the example they give. So like, if no one hears your music, then kind of what's the point? Which I get that. So like, if you make all this music and you don't care if anyone hears it, then you don't have to spend money on advertising it. But if you do want people to hear it, you can kind of push it out there in some capacity and put money behind it and see how many people actually hear it, and then see what happens. The example they give is, if you like opened a restaurant but never once put out an advertisement or told anyone ever anywhere that you had a restaurant, it would kind of not be the best way to go about trying to run a business. But that again comes down to, is this what you want out of your band? So if you want your band, or you have a band, or you are a solo musician or whatever, if this is what you want, this is a good option for you to kind of go that way. So another thing is, like, they bring up the sleazy thing where it's like, ads feel quote unquote icky. I don't want to seem desperate or overly promotional. That's point number 2. So like, this is where coming in authentic, I guess, would be a very good way to put it. So it kind of sounds weird, but a lot of us nowadays, when a camera's turned on, we turn into a slightly different person. But sometimes those candid shots are some of the best ones. And those are like the TikToks, or like the Reels, or some of those types of things. Even kind of so, like the commercials I was referencing earlier, they're almost kind of in that vein, where like some of them are just like, this is just like real life people goofing around, and then they put a logo on it and now it's a commercial. So like, that's kind of the best way to go about it, I would say. If you want to do something like that, you don't necessarily have to use that as your advertising ploy, but that would basically breed the authenticity that I'm kind of aiming at with all this talk about it. Like, if you don't want to come across as sleazy or pushy, or just kind of seem like kind of fake or whatever, that's kind of the best way to go about it. And there's bands that have done this very well. Like, one of them and it's always the funniest, and I mean always the funniest, is Corey Waller and the Wicked Things. I know they're like sort of a quote unquote local band, and they won awards recently, and they're doing a lot of dates like out of the state and things like that. But okay, so like, their social media is hilarious. I remember one where they were talking about like how to rap chords the correct way and all this other stuff, and it was this diplomatic thing where they were just kind of goofing around, but in the background was I believe it was Ron Lee was in the background, like digging through a tote and just throwing all these knotted up chords everywhere, because that's how he rolls or whatever. That was the joke, but just stuff like that. It's super, super funny. They even included me in one of them once, so that was pretty fun. It's just fun to see them goofing around and just being themselves on these little short videos. It kind of reminds me of those like, I mean, like every band kind of did them, but like the punk rock DVDs and stuff like that from my younger years, like you'd go watch the guys like running around, going to the gas stations, drinking soda out of the fountains and just being goofballs or whatever. They go into like there was like a Sum 41 one where they were like running around squirting people with squirt guns or whatever. But just goofy stuff, and that's the kind of stuff where like you get to kind of see who these people are. They're just having fun, and you come across as authentic, and you don't seem like you're promoting your thing as much, or you don't seem like you're desperate. You're just creating the content for them that way. Would that be a good advertising ploy? I'm not sure if that's the best route to go, but it could be a way to go if you don't want to spend the money on advertising, I guess. So, yeah, there are examples of people out there doing a very good job of that, very organically, very naturally. They don't seem like they're pushing their thing even at all, but they actually are because you notice it. So, another one on here is number 3. I don't want to give my money to big tech companies. So this one's kind of, I don't know. I don't like it and I don't hate it. So you don't want to give your money to tech companies. I get that. Rather than viewing it as giving your money to tech companies, think of it as investing in your audience. So the defense I have for this one is like, I get you don't want to spend money, and I don't necessarily like investing in your audience or whatever, but I will say for sure, if you do it correctly, and there are ways to drill down and get really, really effective with this. And I mean, like if you don't know what some marketing companies are doing, holy smokes, it's wild. So like you can see who's visiting your websites and where they're from and what age groups they're in. And you can really drill into some of this stuff. And then you can advertise directly to these people, maybe not specifically, but you pick age regions and areas and within X amount of miles of things. And it's all comes down to collecting the data. Now that's kind of the hard part is that, and that's where like a marketing, having a marketing company around is kind of a nice thing. I'm sure there probably are, marketing companies. I say go to the one I work for, but at the same time, if you don't want to get that crazy with it, here's like the basic gist of it is you can spend money to advertise your stuff, and if you do it correctly, people will see whatever you are trying to show them. I know you're like, oh, I don't want to spend the money, but like it works so much better if you spend the money, and you can spend minimal amounts of money. I'm not going to say like no money at all, but you can spend very minimal amounts of money, and it works so well that it's so hard to describe. Like, I don't know if I want to give like specific examples, but you can spend a few dollars a day and see a return if you do it correctly, of well over triple, quadruple, things like that. So like I've seen a couple that were like really wild because of all of the data that was collected to try to target the correct people for the market that everyone was going for. And it's wild to see how well that actually works. And I know it sucks giving money to these big companies, but if you ever thought about trying to run an ad, just goof around and try it. You also have to think to yourself, how much does it cost to run an ad? If you want to run an ad in the paper, it's going to cost you $100, $200, $300. Depending on where you want it, how big it's going to be, etc. So it could cost you a lot of money. It could cost you not a whole lot of money. But the point is, that's how much it's going to cost to put an ad somewhere like that. So if you want to spend the same amount of money online, but again, think of it as an investment. But that's comes back to what they had said before, investing in your audience. Well, it's an investment in yourself, but it's a way to help the audience know that your stuff is out there. Like the example I would like to give is, there've been a lot of times where shows have happened and I didn't even know that these shows were happening. And it's some of my favorite stuff that I see the most of online. Example, I like watching Matt Woods play guitar. When he comes to my area, I like to drive to go see him. I'll drive 20, 30, 40 miles to go see him, whatever. I know he's like really not much further outside of my area than that, but at the same time, when he's around, I like to go watch him. So there was a show not terribly long ago, and it was at Bootleggers, which if you've listened to the podcast, I've played a lot of shows at Bootleggers. I've gone to Bootleggers a lot, etc. But Bootleggers and Fort Dodge. But at the same time, I didn't know Matt was playing a show there. And it's like, well, it was posted online by him, which I follow him and I see his stuff all the time. It was posted by Bootleggers, same thing. I see their posts. This one I just didn't see it, Granted, I'm not online as much as I used to be, but I'm still online quite a bit. So, yeah, it's weird that you miss some of this stuff. The way not to miss it is think about how many times you've scrolled past something and you've seen an ad for something that you know you want to go to, but there's an ad there and it shows up because somebody is properly targeting you. And so like, again, these ads will work. There's events that it's like, I'm going to this and I know for sure I'm going to this. And I don't even click, interested or anything because I know it's going to show up so many times that I will go to this thing. So their advertising worked. And you go to the establishment, you spend money and boom, that's how marketing works. But at the same time, it does kind of suck to spend the money on this stuff. But anybody that spent any money on advertising knows that it's not an expense. It's an investment of sorts. It's not something that you can just kind of get rid of. It works so well when done correctly. And I'll tell you what, even when done haphazardly, it's still, you can still see an impact, which is pretty wild. So, yeah, I mean, there are different avenues to go about doing that, how to advertise. This podcast would be hours long if I got into it. And again, I'm not the professional doing it, but at the same time, I gave you the basics. You can kind of go from there. And if you don't want to go through all the trouble, just you can hire someone else to do it. You can kind of goof around. There's lots of companies out there that are willing to help bands. Go local, I would definitely say, to help out the best. But at the same time, give it a shot. Try something like that. See if it works out for you. So number 4 on the list. Hoofda, here we go. Why do I have to make music videos? Shouldn't people just care about the music? Well, that's true. Yeah. I think about all the bands throughout the years that I've found, possibly on Spotify or wherever I'm listening to music, but like you find it that way. And then you kind of go through different channels to find more music using those kind of playlists and things like that. But people don't always, I don't know. It just makes me think about like Tim Salter was on a podcast and he had said something where like people hear what they see. And that's kind of what this is drilling down into. So it says, it would be great if people discovered music purely through the sound, but that's not how things work. We live in a visual world and video is one of the most effective ways to grab somebody's attention. So I do agree, but at the same time, most of the music that I discover, I like the way it sounds, and I'm a sound person. That being said, I love visuals too, like going to see bands in concert or like whatever it happens to be. I like album artwork that's intriguing to me or things like that, so the artwork thing does matter. Another thing I saw, and this is not in here, I should have pulled the article because it was another thing I'd saw, but people are more likely to watch a music video organically than they would listen to a song organically, which I had read some stats somewhere in that vein, and I agree and disagree. So like, there's so many times where you just like random playlist shuffle and you'll just skip something when you get bored. But if it's like a music video, I think it kind of harkens back to the days of like MTV or VH1 or whatever your era's music video channels or things were. But there were just TV stations that used to just play music videos all day long. And that was kind of fun because even if you didn't like the song, you would watch the video because you wanted to see what happened in the video. Again, that's probably kind of the vein that I would argue with this point on and say, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So like, you don't have to do, as it says here, you don't have to do a high budget production or a professional film crew. You can even just do the short, authentic, and engaging clips, a simple lyric video or behind the scenes recording session, or even a phone shop performance can help your story make blah, blah, blah. So again, this doesn't have to be music videos. I've shown on Audible Farm's channel, I've made a couple music videos. I made 2 for Clint Riedel, and I made both of those with iPhones, and I used free software to edit them. And they're not like the craziest, greatest thing ever, because I've seen other people make better music videos with higher quality equipment. But at the same time, it doesn't take a whole crew of people and a whole bunch of money to do this and pull it off well. I saw the band Love Bomb recently made a music video. It's great. Go watch it. It's on their YouTube channel, which is something else I'm going to get into is YouTube channels here in just a second. But yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of stuff you can do, and you don't have to go like super, super crazy with it. It comes back to what I was saying about short, authentic clips. you don't even really have to go the route of, you don't really have to go the route of like doing reels or doing, TikToks or things like that. You could make long, what I would call like long short form videos, 10, 20-minute videos at most of, you can edit them down. You can do all whatever you want, but you can make like, Stadium Drive did this recently. Here's what I'm thinking of. Stadium Drive did this recently. They have a podcast that's coming out, and I don't know how much you want to even call it a podcast. It is a podcast. You can listen to it. You can watch it. It's a video series, and they talk about the things they did in the studio, making their last album, upcoming album, tips and tricks, just kind of goofing around how they came up with ideas for songs. And it's great. It's really kind of a fun, intriguing thing. That's kind of what I'm kind of talking about. You can really kind of fill up like a YouTube channel really quick with that kind of stuff. And again, I'm going to get into the YouTube stuff in just a second. But yes, I think videos definitely hold a place in this. And I do know for a fact, and this is just no money involved, just working with this, you kind of have to go towards where most things are going. And since TikTok is so popular now, every platform seems to have like the vertical video scroll through thingy. And those are what's popular now. And they drive a lot of views, especially if you put the right like words around it to kind of describe what's going on, or if you link back to things correctly, or if you don't use enough links, or, every platform's a little bit different. So if you can find the kind of like the things in there to do it the best way possible, those videos are easily the most effective, I would say. So, okay, so we're getting down to the last one here. This all sounds like too much work. Someone else should handle it. I agree. I've brought that up multiple times already, that this is a lot of work. This is, you have to kind of figure this stuff out. I shouldn't have to advertise my music. I already spent so much money making it. So, well, you're going to have to work harder to get the money to spend on the advertisements. You need to come up with a time to like think about how your advertising is going to come across as organic. And then you eventually have to spend the money on the big tech companies. And then you have to find like ideas to make videos. Like, this is all time. This is all work. It takes a lot of time. And this is the thing, and I almost don't want to say it because I work in this field, but like it says, hiring a marketing team can be helpful, but, and in all bold letters, no one will care about your music as much as you do. And it's unfortunate, but it's probably true. I'm not going to say that it is true, because there are marketing companies that absolutely turn things around for companies. And I've seen it happen before my eyes, where it's just like, this company, you could take a snapshot of it today and then take a snapshot of it 6 months later and then another 6 months later. And you can easily see the direction that it's going in and things changing. So I know that it works, but at the same time, you kind of have to take some ownership in this. If this is something where you don't have big capital to spend on this, which a lot of us don't, or a lot of us might not want to. Again, why are you playing music? It comes down to that. You have to ask yourself this. Are you doing this because you want to start a business? You literally are you, if you have a business, this is perfect for you. Otherwise, take the time to learn it. You're already on Facebook anyways. Read an article about it and figure out how it works better. Go on Facebook and test different things. Find out why it's better to have one thing and not another. Why should I post this thing and not that thing? I posted this. Did it work? And if it didn't, why not? Find out what it has in similarities with other things that did or did not work, and then repeat the process and try to find these little things that work for you that will work for you, that just reach your target audience, organically better than anything else would. It's tough. I know it is. There's things that I do that I know already go against that, because I post things sometimes online that I know will not get a lot of views just based on how I know the social media algorithms work. But it's sometimes fun to post them, because before you know it, the right person sees it and then it kind of takes off. And that's kind of fun to know that still happens. So again, if this is all too much, if you don't want to spend your Sundays dinking around on social medias or like looking at statistics or whatever, or if none of this even intrigues you in the slightest bit, a marketing team might be the right way to go. But at the same time, I'm not trying to do this to promote anything that I'm not trying to sell anybody anything. The point I'm trying to make here is, because this is what I did beforehand and I kind of looked at some of this stuff and I was intrigued by this, I realized you can figure this out. There are people that are local to us that are regular people that have figured these little things out and know what kind of gets people intrigued in your stuff, gets the conversation starting, gets people to know that you're there. You make sure you're top of mind. It gives people things to look at. So this is not necessarily like me saying you should do this, but the final thoughts of this article are: advertising is not a tool, or advertising is a tool, not a sellout move. So final thoughts: advertising is a tool, not a sellout move. So there are ways to do it correctly. There are people that I have talked to since I relaunched the podcast that have organically come up and discussed how they've done this. Jordan Beam, I recall, has discussed it on his podcast, how he promotes posts in certain areas for certain things because he knows that he's went through the trial and error and he figured it out and it works. I know there's other people like Andy Jewell. I made a post a couple days ago showing some of the stuff he's doing. He was on the podcast and he took a chunk of the podcast and he's turning it into fun little clips. He's done it at least twice now. Twice that I've seen, but it's fun to know that there's people out there that do kind of get it. But if you do, again, you could understand this and just be like, I don't want to do it. And again, that's your choice. I've been in bands that a lot of this would have been beneficial. And I've been in bands where it would not have mattered if we did a lot of this stuff. But there's a couple things you could take away from here that would be proven effective, but like, it's not necessarily something we would have wanted to spend excess money on by hiring anyone to do it or spending the extra money to do things like this, because the benefits might not have been there as much as if you're actually out there trying to do this. So this is a topic for if this is why you're doing this, if you want to do well and you want to try hard and do those types of things, yes, go for it. But if just don't think of it as selling out. That's one thing I want to say. You can do this organically. You don't have to just be the guy who's shilling stuff. You can do this organically. Try it without spending money on it. Just goof around a little bit. You never know what's going to work the best. And when you find something that works, just try and recapture that lightning in a bottle again and go from there. That's kind of just like stabbing in the dark a little bit, but you'll figure it out. You'll figure out something that works for you and you'll go there and keep doing that. Again, that's the weird part about this. I had mentioned it earlier, like my hobbies ended up lending themselves to my job, which is kind of weird. Working in a marketing firm, I produce podcasts and edit and upload and manage media and run a lot of YouTube channels and things like that now. So I do a lot of that work. I do have another podcast. I don't really discuss it much on this one because it's just I'm not trying to cross promote and sell you what I do. But if you can't get enough of me, there is another podcast out there. It is called the Spin Market Report. I talk to companies about how they started, why they're doing what they're doing, and whether or not they've seen any impacts with marketing and things like that. So it is a little bit more in that vein, but it is also very Audible Farm-ish, but like business kind of wise. There have been a couple episodes about doing podcasts and things like that. So we'll if you want to listen to that, it's over there. But that has also given me the benefit of trying different things on utilizing YouTube in different manners that has allowed me to find out what works well, what doesn't work well, how to organize things on there to make them look good, et cetera, et cetera. So one thing that I've noticed you can do on YouTube, and this doesn't always, not everybody has all this at their disposal, but like, let's say you did an interview on YouTube, or let's say you, there's a video of you playing somewhere that you like. So what you can do as a band is you can make a YouTube channel, and with your YouTube channel, you can create a playlist, and on these playlists, you can add things to them, and these playlists you can feature on the front of your channel. So we've all used YouTube. We all have seen some channels that look great and some channels that are just like, I don't know why my channel doesn't look cool like theirs, whatever. But what you can do is actually look into these things and create something that looks kind of neat. Like here's an example. So on the Audible Farm YouTube channel, I'm just going to pull it up right now. Audible Farm YouTube. Let's search it. It should be right there. And it's at the very top, of course, rock and roll. So like on the Audible Farm YouTube channel, you have the playlist that is Audible Farm going newest to oldest. So like right now, this episode's 252, and it's at the very top if you're listening to this. There might also be like a For You section above that, which can't say has worked the best, but it is a thing that's out there. And then I thought, I'm like, let's make another playlist and organize it by, most views. So like the best of Audible Farm is on there, which is kind of fun because there's audio only episodes and video episodes mixed in there. And then there's also the FDT podcast, which I had mentioned earlier. I was going to kind of bring up again. I co-host that podcast with the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association executive director, Shelly Bodorf, and she sets everything up. She's the one who does all the producing. I am just a co-host and then the editor guy. She does all the extra work. So hats off to her. We have 8 episodes out that come out once a month. I recently interviewed her on my other podcast. So if you want to listen to her, you can listen to that. Otherwise, Audible Farm has an episode with her as well. They're kind of different episodes, which is my favorite part about this, is I found ways to kind of tailor this into different things. You can, if you sit down with somebody for an hour, you'll find out you'll talk about different things. The next hour you sit down and talk with them. So FDT, great episodes. The most recent one, Nate McCubbin, Gina Batchelor. I actually told an embarrassing story on that episode. We usually ask the guests for embarrassing stories, and that's the first one where somebody had one where we actually had to edit it out. So I did throw out an embarrassing story in there, so that's kind of crazy. But check those out, FDT. But just going down the list, you can see these different like categories I have, guitar mods and more. I used to make a lot of guitar mod videos, or just like repairing them or painting them or just doing things, and then I put those in there and I organized them by how recently they are, but I haven't made one in years, so I don't know why that's still on there. But you just go down the list and you can see different things, blah blah blah. Here's popular videos, featured channels, whatever. So you can create different things on there. Again, I kind of already said how to do it, but if this is something you want to do, it doesn't take long to just look it up and do it. And I get that some people are wired to want to do this and some people are not. But if this is something where you're listening to this and you're like, oh, yeah, I wish my YouTube channel looked like that, it's not impossible. You can do it. It's possible. All this stuff is a Google search away. It doesn't take much to really do it. A lot of times, especially now, there's like step-by-step processes or videos you can watch, and everything's like, here's what you need to do it this way. And in half an hour, you can be well-versed enough in this to kind of be on your way to starting doing things. I get that this is also something we talked about earlier with the 5 things article about marketing your band or advertising. This takes time. If you don't want to take the time, you might have to pay someone to do it or just live with what you got. That's just kind of the way it is. I don't mind doing this stuff. So that's one of the reasons I do this. But at the same time, these are the things I've noticed is you can organize this stuff in a fashion to kind of juice up your channel. And I've done this to a couple of my buddies. I can, in like just a short half an hour, 45 minutes, I can change up quite a bit of things to make it look really professional, just because I know the quick tricks to do a few things to make it look more full or whatever, And one of the things I wanted to talk about was, it's funny because as I go through some of these people that have been on the podcast, I'll go in and out of their YouTube channels and just kind of see what's been posted. And I spend a decent amount of time on YouTube because I think it's fun if you go to a YouTube channel and it looks really professional. You're like, whoa, this is really cool. They have all this stuff on here. And so I did see that Rico Jolly Jr. and the Good Times YouTube channel. I'm throwing out all sorts of stuff from all sorts of past guests on here because this is important stuff. But here we go. So there's a created playlist on there that says podcast appearances, and there's one video in there, and it's from Audible Farm. And that is something that I thought was really cool. I'm fairly certain, I'm not 100% certain, but I don't think Rico directly is the person doing the YouTube channel. But at the same time, regardless, it does not matter. It's cool that that's there. So something you can use your YouTube channel for is, again, if you were ever on an interview or things like that, you can feature this stuff on your channel. So we're kind of tying it all back around. So if you ever get interviewed, or if you were on another podcast or there's videos featuring you, you can create playlists and add them to your channel to kind of just be like, hey, these things are in here. And if somebody wants to, they can kind of hunt around and find it. Or if you learn some of these tips and tricks, including some of the things I was discussing, you can just add them to your channel and make the front of your channel look really neat. I've done that with the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association's YouTube, which I am going to click on right now and look at. So one of the things I did was I added the arts chat and the Fort Dodge Thoughtful Exchange About the Arts, the FDT podcast. So I have two different things showing on the front channel. But another thing I thought was like, how fun would it be to have the features on there? So Shelly's been on other podcasts. She's been on my podcast. She's been on Talk Fort Dodge. She was on the Spin Market Report, which is the other podcast I do. She's on the radio sometimes. She's been featured in other stuff talking about the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association. So what I did was like, I made a playlist. I went to all these channels and added all this stuff to a playlist and said, wham, here, now I have a playlist featuring all the stuff that Shelly's been on. The bad thing is you have to keep updating this to make it, updated, or you have to find a way to organize it or whatever. But this is a possibility where you can add all these things from other channels into your channel, essentially, and just be like, here's a show from another channel that I liked. Let's like almost syndicate it, if you will, on my channel. I'm trying to like explain that for people. The older people are like, yes, I understand syndication. And the younger people are like, I don't know what that means. But luckily, I'm right in the middle. But like that's kind of the gist of this is you can fill up your channel with all sorts of cool stuff from other channels and use your channel to like kind of, I don't know, just look neater. I'd read an article the other day about turning your YouTube channel into some sort of a low budget EPK, which is kind of a cool thing where it's just like, you can go here and this is almost like my website. It's basically just a website. There's places on there where you can kind of just put a lot of stuff on there that really kind of pushes people towards what you want to push them towards. And believe it or not, it actually works a lot better than you think it might. It just takes time, and you have to tell people that that's where you're at. And the bad part about that is most social medias don't let you talk about YouTube because they don't want you to leave their social media platforms. So, again, tips and tricks you learn. If you talk about YouTube or post YouTube links or say things like that on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter's not as bad, but like, those types of places, they're like, they don't want you to go somewhere else. They want to keep you there. So again, that's just something I've learned, but you can do stuff with YouTube channels. It looks really cool. You can kind of feature things in there. You can put a little short section in there. You can have a section for like what they call like the For You, I believe is what it's called. And that's when you go to a channel, these are videos you either haven't watched or have partially watched that they think you should continue watching, et cetera, et cetera. So you can really kind of get fancy with this. And I really do kind of like, the more time I spend on YouTube, kind of enjoy just the way it's structured. I'm not really like a YouTube guy, which I get that I am now, as I'm like making videos like eyeing a screen and then looking back at the camera every now and then, which is not very good eye contact for YouTube. But that is something. So either way, if you want to see some examples of stuff I've done with YouTube channels, there's plenty of different ways to go out there. I've given you examples of the other podcasts that I work for and a couple other things in there. So you can go check those out. Check out the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association. You can check out the Audible Farm channel. You can kind of just see what's going on there. And if you're intrigued by anything, Google it. It's really not that hard. But if you want to have somebody else do it, you can have somebody else do it. Ask me how to do it. Look at, again, like Rico Jolly, there's people that have these organic ideas that are really great. Like you can go there and just be like, oh, cool. I can view the full playlist from here, like of podcast appearances. So, maybe in a couple of years, this thing will actually fill up. Granted, you have to upkeep it again, but yes, YouTube channels can be very, very useful. So that kind of brings me down to another thing. Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association, go check out FDT. The last episode I was unhinged. But YouTube, again, I'm not really like a YouTube guy, and I don't spend a whole lot of time watching videos on YouTube to like quote unquote waste time on YouTube. I stream my media elsewhere, and if I'm not doing that, I try to be outside. It's been really nice lately. Maybe not the day this comes out, but it's been really nice the last week or so. So long story short, I did find a fun channel on here, and I was waiting to bring in a drummer to talk about this. Just to kill some extra time. But if you guys haven't checked it out, and I know this is not like the first time anyone's ever heard this, but on the Drumeo YouTube channel, there's hearing songs for the first time. It's really fun. You get to hear drummers play along to songs that they are basically hearing for the very first time. So they hear them without a drum track, and they have to guess where the drums are. And it's fun to hear somebody else's take on it. And I could probably get a little deeper into that with some other people around, but the thing I wanted to kind of draw out of that is I don't think you ever really realize how much influence you can have on music just by being there, which is kind of crazy. And it's fun to know that, and some of these guys are like legit professionals that people will look up to. The drummer for Megadeth, Chad Smith. I mean, Dennis Chambers is on there. There's all sorts of crazy people. But to know that these people are playing these songs and doing well at them, and it sounds good, but like you go back to maybe they're playing a song that not everybody knows the drummer for, or they don't look at this person as like the best drummer in the world, but then you hear them in this song and you're like, their drumming actually fits better. Okay. So like, you don't have to be the greatest known drummer in the world to actually know, or to actually like play the best parts. So that's something I kind of wanted to like lean into. And again, I think that topic would have been a little bit better with somebody else, but at the same time, this has gone on a little longer than I've really wanted it to anyways. So the gist of this is this: if you want to market your band, go ahead and do it. That works better than you could ever imagine. I'm just going to let that sink in for a little bit. If you do it correctly, the return is insane. It works so well. If you don't want to spend money, there are ways to do it without spending money. I've discussed a couple ways in here to kind of do a couple things, but you just have to be curious and you have to spend the time on it. And I get that some people, that might not be what they want to get out of this, but that comes back to what I had discussed in the very opening of this, is we kind of have to figure out why you're doing what you're doing and what you want to get out of it. And if this aligns in any capacity, or if you're just intrigued by this, if you're like, yeah, I'm on Facebook all the time anyways, I might as well figure out how to use it better. Or like, yeah, I'm on I'm on YouTube all the time watching videos, I might as well start making some, or whatever it happens to be. Or you see somebody like me online, you're like, I can do what this guy's doing. Do it. Go ahead and do it. It really isn't that hard. No, it just takes time. And that's the thing that I get. People have different obligations. People have families, people, music isn't the only thing some of these people are doing. So again, it comes down to why. Like if you have the spare time and want to do it, this is an avenue you can go down, and it works and you don't have to spend money on it. I could point at people all day, up one and down the other, to different people around the state that have done this with spending minimal money, just spending time. And time is, I get it, like a very valuable resource. We have very finite amount of it. But if this is something that's intrigued you, maybe just check it out. Kind of get into it. Go online. Figure out the best ways to kind of go about doing some of this stuff. And, make your own path out there. So that's it for the solo episode. I'll see you in the outro. And the outro is going to be a short one. So we'll see you over there. All right, that is the episode. It's 2:52. It's in the bank. I would like to thank the guest, me, for no, I'm just kidding. If you made it this far, thank you guys very much for listening. And I do want to say thank you to the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association for helping us out with this episode. Very, very thoughtful of them. And check out their podcast, FDT. It's available. You can go to their website, find a link to their YouTube channel. The podcast link is up in the corner as well. And you just go to FDTEA on any podcast streaming service. You can find it right there. Or go to their YouTube channel. The link, there's a link down below to their website. So just go ahead and go to that and find your way around and go check it out. It's really funny. It's really great. And check out their community calendar. Again, thank you, Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association. Thank all you listeners. And if you guys are looking for Audible Farm stuff, you can get these hats. I still have a few hats left. Just a few, though. I did have a couple people pre-buy. And I do want to say that I'm going to be talking with Scott Kirkhart coming up here about the Broken Strings event that is coming up. I have something here for it. June 14th. Holy cow, it's coming up really quick. It's about a month away, everybody. So what you can do is you can go do the first annual Strokes for Strings golf tournament. and concert. I believe that I will be playing some music with Jesse Wilson at this show. There's going to be all sorts of stuff for donations and live concerts and events and cash bar, and it's just going to be a great time. So if any of this stuff is any interest to you and you like doing good stuff for good people, this is what's up. So hopefully Scott will be on in the next couple weeks to talk about this, and as he sets all this stuff up, and boy, it's going to a good cause. I've always liked Broken Strings, so check those guys out. And yes, Audible Farm. audiblefarm.com is where everything's at. Scott bought a hat. He's always supporting Audible Farm. Always has. Hashtag bring back Audible Farm. The man single-handedly did it. No, I'm just kidding. But he did help bring back Audible Farm. So thank you, Scott, for all your support. Good luck on the golf tournament. I hope you can join me on the podcast here coming up soon. And audiblefarm.com is basically where you can find everything with Audible Farm. If people are like, I don't know what podcasts are, I don't know how to listen to them or whatever, just send them to audiblefarm.com. It's right there on the top that you can play episodes. So just go there, listen, watch, whatever you need to do. Click on the shop links, join the Patreon, shoot us an email, even though my emails are just bombarded. But yeah, shoot us an email. audiblefarm.com. That's it. All right, I'm out of here. Solo episode. I'm done. I got nothing left. See you guys next week. Peace.